reading just a little bit for ASMR whilst my fridge in the background is just making a little bit of noise, but that's okay. This is from the Byakuyakoku. Hang on. Byakuyakoku. Byakuyakoku. Anyway. Alright. So, Volume 1. Mysteries creation conceals. The sun and the moon, omens reveal. Three corners in darkness shrouded, the void by 5 saints clouded. The universe has no beginning and no end. And so it was with the land that it once was. But actually, this is going to include little errors here and there for obvious reasons, but I will restart and I will stop at punctuation marks, specifically, full stops. Alright, so mysteries creation conceals. The sun and the moon omens reveal. Three corners in darkness shrouded, the void by 5 saints clouded. The universe has no beginning and no end. And so it was with the land that once was. But this matters not for us, for the land that bears us no longer has anything to do with that eternity without start or ceasing. So, said the lone sage, Abaraku, to the first sun-child. The sun-child had long intended to punish Abaraku. Summoning the sage before the throne in this manner was but an additional way of making things difficult for him before detaining him. Legend has it that Abaraku was opened up to wisdom by Tokyo Oka. Okay, there's more construction noise outside. Okami. And was thus legend. No. Okay, yes. And yes. And was that thus legend. Why do I have dyslexia? This just sucks, but it's okay. And was thus able to bring light to Enkanomiya, which had till then never seen the sun. But the sun-child grew jealous of his talents, thus imprisoning him for life. Yet, these children of the sun never considered that had Abaraku not created that underground star, they never would have existed in the first place. The origin of heaven and earth is like the chicken and egg, and are not dragons and snakes kin? No sooner had the sage Abaraku uttered these words than he was overthrown by troops laying in ambush. At that time, Enkanomiya had only just been brought to... okay, I'm restarting that whole sentence. At that time, Enkanemia had only just been bought some room to breathe by the appearance of the sun. The Dragonaires loved the dark and shunned light, and thus could no longer act with impunity. The days when the Dragonaires would rampage and graze upon humanity like so much grass had at last come to an end, for the people of Enkanemia finally had the means to resist. Yet it came to pass that the flaws in human nature would rear their ugly heads even before such outside threats could be quelled. The people chose a sun-child, crowned him king, and worshipped him, and yet he ruled with a brutal hand, framing the righteous. Unnumbered years would pass before a young child of Enkanemia would make a wager with his peers. Alone, he would dive beyond the three corners, evading the trail of the Dragonaires in search of a dragon bone flower. But what he found instead, within a great cavern, was a mighty serpent, one he had never seen before. Somehow, as he gazed upon the serpent's titanic form, the child felt no fear, but instead a kinship. I am the profane serpent, through my servants, though my servants are numberless. Not one mortal now dwells in my shadow. That I have fallen into this realm, and that we should meet. Perhaps this is fate. You are not one of my people, but you are human nonetheless. Speak your desire, and I shall hear it. Could you then, perchance, become our god? The construction, I'm sorry. Alright, returning. There was a lot of construction that just happened, or a lot of car sounds. Anyway, thus did they, human and serpent, go forth to face the royal authority of the Sun-Child, and the incursions of the Dragonaires beyond. Thus was the curtain raised on the turning of the tide. And of course, Volume 2 is a chronicle that ordinary folk have been forbidden to read. The writing is a mix of fables and histories from the beginning of the world to the creation of the Dainichi Mikoshi. Volume 3. The lands beneath the Anyway, the lands beneath the aphotic depths are vastly different from those on the surface, to the extent that all surface-derived common sense must be abandoned down below. All we formerly knew of land and sea was given to us directly by the heavens. In this new world of ours, we must begin grouping even for the simplest methodologies anew. O you who come after and read these words, do not take the life you lead for normalcy. Even if after 100 or 1,000 years, people should grow used to life down here, always remember, these days with neither sun nor moon are abnormal. Even if some sage were to draw us the sun, there will surely be filthy wretches who will borrow its light to cast long shadows over us. This book is intended to help people understand the world they live in and to never forget our desire to return to the light. This book has been constantly edited. This is like a in brackets moment. It's a little bit separate from the actual story. Or author's note or auditor's note, I guess. This book has been constantly edited, redacted, and modified over the years, even before the book's title even the name of the book's title has changed from the Aphotic Earth to Byakuyakoku before becoming Byakuyakoku. Later, due to the grace of Watatsumi, the people of the depths would return to the sea's surface. But it seems like Aphotic Earth has some special meaning and has not been universally changed throughout the text. End brackets. Of wind and water. Byakuyakoku has no mountains to speak of, and so it is pointless to speak of them. However, our priests and sages have detected something. Even in these depths, the power of the undying wind and the water still remain. The personification of the undying wind is known as the Tokyo Kami, and is poetically rendered the 1,000 winds, or the 1,000 winds of time. Water, on the other hand, is the might of the Vishap realm, represented by the baptismal Vishaps. We have already developed a certain field of study regarding the relationship between sunfire, wind, and water. As such, both hydrology and the undying wind must be considered before undertaking any project of civil engineering. The borders of Byakuyakoku. The borders of Byakuyakoku are marked out by 3 corners. These mark the limits of the seesaw clash between humanity and the Vishaps. During the era of Byakuyakoku, towers of the 3 realms were built towers of the 3 realms were built at these 3 corners, used to harmonize the 3 realms. Their ancient names have been lost to time, and they were renamed after the coming of Watatsumi. These towers are exceedingly important, and they are not in locations aligned with either wind or water. Rather, their purpose is to stabilize the tendencies of Byakuyakoku and control its wind and waters. If these towers were to be imperiled, so would the entire nation. As such, they have been hidden using secret arts. Only the shrine maidens and the vassals of Watatsumi can summon them forth. The Narrows. The Narrows were, in the earliest times, sandwiched between the mountain face and an area known as the Roundlands, thus earning that location its name. However, the exceedingly strange tectonic shifts in Byakuyakoku, I got it! Yay! Small ones, Byakuyakoku, cause the Roundlands to collapse into the depths, thus causing the narrows to widen significantly. The serpent's heart. From the first time our ancestors discovered this place, it had already played host to a unique phenomenon in which space itself might overlap in a certain local. Later, those who came before us would utilize this phenomenon by creating the serpent's heart. It would be used to guard secrets, imprison criminals, and worship the great imaginary serpent Ouroboros. In the earliest times, this place was called Delphi, the land of snakes. This name did not change even after the arrival of Watatsumi Omikami. Ancient art depicts the scaleless serpent as Ouroboros and the coral-adorned serpent as Orabaxi. Dainichi Mikoshi. The earliest name of this place was Helios, and it was that high tower built by the sage Abaraku, standing for earth, the element between wind and water. According to prophecy, this was likely the sun that the sage displayed used to light the lightless caverns. And just as those prophecies suggested, it was also later used to cast a great shadow over the nation. Then we get into the volume 4. Effective today. All experiments regarding the Dragonaires will be directed by Watatsumi Omikami in person. All files preceding the founding year of the Watatsumi calendar have been destroyed. Dossier serial numbers shall no longer use categories alpha, beta, gamma, delta, and epsilon, which use the ancient Watatsumi tongue. Instead, we will use earth, water, fire, wind, aether, and void going forward. All quotes and notations are to be written within quotation marks. The following order of writing should be observed: file, header, serial number, subject, author. Author can be omitted by their internal title within the research lab may be used. Usage of a researcher's name, I literally just got it. Byakuyakoku. Yeah, I do still have it. And Kunimiya name of modern Watatsumi Narukami Inazuma name is forbidden. These experimental records are not to be used for the writing of diaries, love letters, or fantasy novels. The Dragonaires, in brackets, hereafter named Bathysmal Vishaps or simply Vishaps. Evolution is plain for all to see. In bracket, in quote, Water 101 Dragonair Evolution 1. End quote, end bracket. We have tried lowering the temperature in the living environs of a heat-resistant Bishap. As a result, they were weaker once matured. We suspect that this is because its body did not possess the, end quote, seed required to resist such an environment. However, its descendants would all possess high body fat, greater predilection towards sleep, and would express a cryo element. Wait, okay. So, a heat-resistant bishop. Okay, so this, in my opinion, or like in my understanding, this would make like its descendants. So if you get a water dragon era baptismal bishop, and then you lower the temperature when it's like maturing, it grows like more stuff, and then its babies in the future could have the cryo element. Okay. In brackets, please refer to the experimental data after the main text. The abnormal data derived from sample 3 is due to my assistant feeling sorry for the subject of the anti-hunger control group and feeding it surreptitiously, I don't know. I'm just gonna spell it out for people who are listening, just not reading with me, but who are listening. surreptitiously. I've never seen that word in my life, so end bracket. When we then placed their descendants into sweltering conditions, they would again choose, like their ancestors, the heat resistance trait. However, none of them would have developed traits indicative of the pyro element thus far. We do not have enough data to reach a conclusion at the present, but we can make an educated guess that baptismal bishops have the ability to awaken their, in quote, seed freely before maturation. Bishop mothers can also create new, in quote, seeds to pass onto their descendants should they encounter heretofore unseen challenging environments. It is said that even before encountering us, the people of Enkanomiya, the baptismal bishops had already stored a variable armory within their bodies. The results of the intelligence tests are astonishing. In quote, in bracket, in quote, Void 207, Bishop Intelligence Research, end quote, and end bracket. Through a screening process consisting of rewards and punishments, in bracket, although previous research indicates that screening is unnecessary, bishops are one and all adapters per excellence, end bracket. The linguistic capacities of bishops 4 generations down are starting to approach that of a 12-year-old human student. Perhaps it might be more accurate to say that bishops always had their own methods of communication, and what they are displaying here is their ability to learn. We believe that these experiments should be stopped. If not, we may yet be proven narrow-minded for having dismissed that last person who wrote a fantastical tale about bishop people. Prophecy holds that the dragon sovereign of water will be born in a human form. We must not let this thing happen in Enkanomiya. Oh my goodness! So it's literally mentioned that Neuvillette is I'm gonna take a screenshot of that one. because that's quite important, and I want to keep that. Prophecy holds that the dragon sovereign of water will be born in human form. We must not let this thing happen in academia. All previous attempts at grafting have failed. In bracket, in quote, Void 907, Watatsumi Omikami Special Orders 1, end quote, end bracket. Because they cannot accept Watatsumi Okami's blood, the Vishaps will fall victim to various adverse effects. Perhaps they are not yet strong enough, but we cannot be sure. Indeed, according to our rationalized Bishop evolutionary roadmap, we should have already bred the strongest Bishop possible. I think they're referring to the boss in Academia. The grafting can be considered a success. Void in bracket, in quotation, Void 907 Watatsumi Omikami's Special Orders 3. So they admitted one. Yeah, they admitted one. The rejection originates from the Vishaps having been beings of the light realm, in bracket, also known as elemental creatures, end bracket, and thus being at odds with the human realm, of which Omikami and its coral vessels are a part. All experimental logs are closed. No experiment conducted here resulted in the death of any dragonairs. They all lived to see the end of their days. Praise to be Watatsumi Omikami, gracious and beneficent. Volume 3. Question 1. What walks in 4 feet in the early morning, 2 feet during the day, and 3 feet at night? Answer. I'm gonna let you think about it. Alright, answer. A Vishap who transforms into a person to attend a ball, then breaks one of its legs and eventually ends up walking with a cane. Sages like this answer the most, and it is the children get it right almost exclusively. For adults, it always smells like a horrible conspiracy when a bishop turns into a human. According to a prophecy of old, the dragon of water, the ancient lord of bishops, will definitely descend in the form of a human. However, for children, the answer to the question indicates a possibility of mutual understanding. But it is not a good idea to make bishops sound adorable. Though such jokes defang the fear, they also lower the guard of the children. Dragonairs of the depths have evolved to wield the power of other elements and have hence lost their purity. As such, the dragon of water will no longer be born from among their ranks. Question 2. With only one mouth, this being sometimes has 4 feet, sometimes 2 feet, and sometimes 3 feet. Though unable to morph into other things, it is able to walk on earth, swim in the water, and fly in the sky. The more feet it walks on, the feebler it grows. What is this being? I'm gonna let you think. Answer. A human. Humans crawl on hands and feet as babies, walk on 2 legs as adults, and use a cane as elders. The answer is undoubtedly a human. What have you thought What did you think it was? Question 3. What talks with only one mouth but walks in 4 and 2 feet? Answer. Someone raising livestock. This riddle is a very ancient one. In the past, we could only understand the meaning of livestock from breeding texts. 4 legs refers to 4-legged animals like the ox, horse, and foresty boar. No idea what any of those are. After Byakuyakoku, yes, I still have it. After Byakuyakoku fell into the ocean depths, these animals died out within 2 generations due to a lack of habitable land and food. Since the arrival of Watatsumi Omikami, some of us have returned to the sea's surface to rebuild a home and interact with the people there. Therefore, we have been able to review all of the names of these animals. According to the vassal of the Omikami's prophecy, we will all move back to the sea surface someday, so it is important to get these names right. Ox means cattle, horse means horse, and foresty boar means forest boar. Oh. Question 4. Who are the sisters who gave... What? Question 4. Who are the 2 sisters who gave birth to each other every day? Who give birth to each other every day? I'm going to repeat that as it may seem a bit confusing for people who are listening. Question 4. Who are the 2 sisters who give birth to each other every day? Answer. Day and night, or white night and ever night. This riddle is easy to understand because it alludes to the succession of day and night, which in Byakuyakoku means the cyclical white night and ever night under the control of the Dainichi Mikoshi. Though the land was in everlasting night before the Dainichi Mikoshi was built, the light of the day that people had seen has remained unchanged. By the way, the 2 special astronomical phenomena of Byakuyakoku, the mirages and the sunshades, were first indiscriminately referred to as eidolons and seen as the 2 sides of the same coin. It was not until the arrival of Watatsumi Omikami that the people of Byakuyakoku were able to understand the 2 phenomena and name them differently. Though the sun did not shine upon Byakuyakoku, the mirages that appeared in might nights were named sunfire phantasms, and those of the ever night ghostfire phantasms. As the time went by, both of them came to be referred to as sunfire phantasms, for they are essentially the same thing. Alright. Question 5. Question 5. I am the shadowborn of the Lord of Light. I am a wingless bird that rises from the earth to the sky. Those who shed tears in my presence feel no sorrow in their bosoms. Away with a gentle breeze I fade thus ends my fleeting life. Answer. The answer is smoke. Birds are winged creatures, and it is normal that they are not seen in academia. Question 6. A father has 12 children. Question 6. A father has 12 children, each then giving birth to 60 daughters of different appearances. Of them, 30 are pale and 30 are dark. The whole family, knowing not death, will only fade away. Who is the father? Answer. The answer is the year. The people of Byakuyakoku may find the part about 60 pale or dark children a bit confusing, but everything will start to make sense once they crack question 4. Why am I reading since? Okay, there used to be a sequel to this riddle in ancient times. It roughly said that every granddaughter would give birth to 12 descendants, and each of them would then have 60 children. Every such child later would give birth to another 60, who would go on to have children of their own. This would continue until, at last, all of the offspring would together give birth to the one and only primordial child. Tokyo Ukami, the mother of 14 billion years. Watatsumi Omikami forbade people from spreading this riddle. Appendix. Historical figures, their traditional names, and Narukami-style renderings. Kairos. Tokyo Omikami. Eris. Arisu. Abaraku. Charon. Ka. Spartacus. Supada. Emma. Someone. Koi. Antigon. Antigonus. Ante. Erebus. Ereboshi. Aichan. Eki. Udeus. Uda. Asclepius. Surrepio. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. My throat is sore, and at the same time, I'm apologizing for the random bloopers and stuff, but anyway, subscribe and possibly check out the Twitter. I don't know.